Of the People's National Movement, the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez, also Member of Parliament for Aruka Lopino, Deputy Political Leader Policy, Senator the Honorable Sanjeev Guru, here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, we welcome you to an opposition press conference, media conference here at Balize House. My name is Hans Devines, Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West. We do have some issues that we'd like to bring to the fore and address today. And to begin the press conference, we welcome our chairman, the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez, Member of Parliament for Aruka Lopino.
Thank you very much, my colleague from Diego Martin West, the Honorable Hans Devines, and let me also welcome my colleague, the Deputy Political Leader of the People's National Movement, members of the media, Trinidad and Tobago. So we've just concluded our General Council meeting where we discussed several matters concerning the party as well as the events and happenings in Trinidad and Tobago. As you know, the PNM, a 70-year-old institution, even though that we are in opposition, whether we are in government, every month the People's National Movement will host its General Council meeting where matters of the party will be discussed and the members of General Council will have the opportunity to raise issues concerning the party as well as issues concerning governance in Trinidad and Tobago. So just to give you an update on some of the issues that were discussed at General Council meeting today, we got an update on the annual general meetings of party groups that constituencies, the 41 constituencies, are having all over Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of PNM constituency or UNC constituency. The PNM is represented in every 41 constituency in Trinidad and Tobago. And as we prepare for our annual convention, which is to be held in November of this year, all units of the party groups, constituencies, as we speak, are engaged in their party group elections and meetings. And based on the reports that came to the General Council a short while ago, all of the constituencies are making great progress in completing their party group meetings, AGMs, as we prepare for our annual convention, as I've said, which is expected to be held in November of this year. The youth leagues, they have, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, they have conducted several meetings. I think last night in the constituency of Aruka Lopino, my constituency, they successfully conducted their elections. Women's League in constituencies all over Trinidad and Tobago, they are wrapping up their annual activities, elections, etc. So the PNM is alive and well. The PNM is ready to do political battle anytime the line is drawn. But we are doing what we're supposed to do at the level of the party groups, the units of the party, all over the constituencies in Trinidad and Tobago, and we are quite happy with the progress that we are making as we prepare for our annual convention that is to be held in November. But I want to bring one matter to the attention of the media and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, that the PNM is not an ordinary party, as I've indicated. We, since early on this year, had identified a tentative timeline by which we will have our annual convention. And in so doing, we will apply to get, some of the public spaces available to us. We get permission from some of the public spaces, from the government, central government, local government, etc., so that we can have these matters proceed smoothly. Let me report to members of the media today at Balize House that the party sought the approval of Queen's Hall to conduct its annual convention later this year. And since then, the approval was rescinded by the management of Queen's Hall with no reasons provided. So the party sought the approval was granted, and not surprising to all of us, especially when one takes into consideration what is taking place in the governance of Trinidad and Tobago, with politics of revenge, politics of retribution, petty politics at its lowest that we have never seen in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. We are reporting to you today that the party, after receiving the approval to host its annual convention at Queen's Hall in Port of Spain, that approval has since been rescinded. In addition to that, the PNM also had planned to have its annual fete at Queen's Hall, somewhere in the outside of that venue. And that also, after having received approval to host its annual fete next year, Carnival Fete, a fundraiser for the party that we will have on an annual basis, that approval has also been rescinded by the government. We've asked for Napa and Sapa as alternative venues by which we can have our convention, and we were told that those venues will not be available for the party to have its annual convention as well as our annual carnival activities. We're just bringing that to the attention of the members of the PNM and the national community. It tells you the level of petty politics that continue to play out in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Nevertheless, we are proceeding with our September Affair event, which is to be held at the Hyatt Regency on September the 26th. We have not had any notice of cancellation or the fact that the venue is no longer available, but the General Council was advised a short while ago that plans are proceeding apace for the hosting of our September Affair, which is another fundraiser to fund the activities of the party. On August 30th, the party will be having the second edition of its Forge from the Love of Liberty Part 2 event at the City Hall in Port of Spain. The time is on August the 30th. The time is 3 p.m. To 6 p.m. It is our second independence event where the party will celebrate our independence, especially having regard to the fact that we had no opportunity funded by the state to celebrate our independence last year. The members of the public, members of the party can look forward to a special guest speaker, which we will not announce at this point in time, who will grace us with his presence to address the gathering at the City Hall in Port of Spain. And let me remind you that the date is on August the 30th. The time is 3 p.m. It commences at 3 p.m. and it ends at 6 p.m. So that's it for party activities. Just want to switch a bit to some national issues, but again, it's related to the party. Yesterday, the party took note of an interview that was conducted or done by Senator Anil Roberts. And in that interview, he went into details of court documents relating to the preliminary Explain Your Wealth order, which was secured by the police relating to the construction of Balize House, which is the new building, and the refurbishment of this new building. And the goodly senator, notwithstanding the fact that these matters are under seal and the parties have been prevented from ventilating these issues openly, had an extensive interview on a state-sponsored program on TTT and a radio station, launching his political attack and vile on the PNM and going into details of that court order supported by affidavits. The PNM will not be baited to discuss our legal strategy on this very serious and sensitive matter. But as chairman of the party, I want to make it clear, and I want to assure the membership of the PNM that the PNM is ready, the PNM is willing and the PNM will robustly defend this matter before the courts. The PNM will not be baited into making any ridiculous statements on the outside or try to ventilate some of these matters in the court of public opinion. But safe to say, to give its membership the assurance that this 70-year-old party of Dr. Eric Williams is in a position to account for every single cent, every single activity that it conducts in, and particularly with respect to the construction of the new Balize House and the refurbishment of this facility that we are conducting this news conference, the People's National Movement will comply with all of the court orders, but in so doing, we will defend this matter to the hilt. We will defend our members, we will defend our donors, we will defend all our well-wishers, we will defend every single member of the PNM. And the UNC, who cannot provide a space for their members, notwithstanding the fact that they are in existence for over 35 years. The UNC that outspent the People's National Movement for every single election held in this country since its existence cannot account to its members why it cannot construct and have a proper space that it can call its home out of respect, not only for the democracy in Trinidad and Tobago, but for the respect of its members. But I want to remind the country as well that the same Anil Roberts who spearheaded this attack yesterday, perhaps expecting that the PNM will not respond to him, perhaps expecting to bait the PNM to disclose our legal strategy as we move to defend our party and our party's legacy. I want to remind the country that this same Anil Roberts, who should not have been a senator in the very first place, based on moral and other ethical issues concerning his conduct in public affairs, one of the what took place, sponsored by state money, taxpayers' money, that serious crimes that took place when he was the minister. That is his legacy as a minister of government in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly a minister of sports, a ministry that is responsible for molding minds, a ministry that is responsible for spearheading programs and initiatives to give young people an opportunity and to give young people an alternative to crime and criminality. Under his charge, a program that was supposed to have cost this country $60 million ballooned into $500 or $600 million, resulting in murders and all kinds of serious crimes. And what is interesting, the murder of a senior counsel in Trinidad and Tobago has its genesis in the life sport program under Senator Anil Roberts when he served as a minister of sports in the government of Trinidad and Tobago. It is interesting that the UNC now uses Senator Anil Roberts with his legacy and with his track record to launch one of the most evil attacks against the People's National Movement, as though the people of this country will forget who he represents and what a minister of government should not ever represent in this country. And what is interesting is in that state of emergency that this country is under, some of those persons who were named as being part of a plot to murder law enforcement officials and judicial officers, they are in prison today because of that same life sport program. live sport, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, if you want to know why really we exist in a state of emergency, and when the Honorable Attorney General could talk about Tectron awaits you, some of the very persons who are detained in Tectron today, their genesis started in live sport under the United National Congress when Senator Arnold Roberts was a member of government. When the worst program that cost lives, funded by taxpayers' money, occurred under his charge. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa gifted us in this country Senator Arnold Roberts, put him in the Senate, and now uses Senator Arnold Roberts to attack Balize House with unsubstantiated evidence and unsubstantiated information. We will have none of that. The UNC government, you would recall, the UNC party in its 35 years of its existence, you would recall there was a major dispute in this country between Basilio Pandey and Jack Warner over the donation of $35 million. One side saying that the $35 million was received to fund political activities of the UNC, and the other side alleging that it was a gift, and the other side alleging that it was a loan. That is the legacy of the United National Congress. The PNM in its 70 years of existence, you never see the PNM conducting its affairs in this manner. But Senator Roberts, not taking the time to explain to UNC people what became of this $35 million, where one party was saying that it was a loan to the UNC, the other saying that it was political contribution to the UNC, the other one saying that it is a gift. And up to this present time, the UNC membership cannot be told what is the outcome of this $35 million fiasco. But today, they're asking us in the PNM, this 70-year-old party, that conducting major fundraising activities, having our donors, etc., contributing to our political activities, now want to ask this 70-year-old party as to justify how we came with funds to refurbish this old Balize house and to construct our new building. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say it again. There is no election. There was no election over the last 20 years in this country where the PNM was able to raise more funds or to fund political activities more than the United National Congress. As a matter of fact, a lot of what you see happening today in the HDC with $3-point-something billion in that ministry of Saddam Hussein, Landmark TT. What you see happening today with the construction of 30 police posts all over the country, I want to ask the UNC whether those contractors that are receiving hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars in contract, whether those contractors contributed to its election campaign in 2025 and in previous elections. You want to know what the PNM is doing? Explain to the people of Trinidad and Tobago whether some of those contractors that continue to benefit to the tune of billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, contributed to the UNC campaign in 2025. If you want to know PNM business and you want to know PNM activities, then before so doing, come clean with respect to the conduct of your affairs. And if you are not prepared to do that, then you are a political hypocrite and you are unfit to ask this venerable 70-year-old party as to its financial activities. Our financial activities, as we report to our General Council members on a monthly basis, will be for the membership of the party. And if they are now utilizing the court system and the judicial system as a weapon against the PNM, then the PNM is also prepared. The PNM is also prepared to defend its interests and to defend its membership in any court in Trinidad and Tobago and in other places. And finally, let me remind this country that the report that Anil Roberts cited in that program yesterday was not a report that came from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. That report was a report that came from the political arm of the state, particularly the Office of the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. It is the Attorney General that commissioned a report that placed some curious and interesting values on this refurbished Balize House and the new wing of Balize House. That report was commissioned by the Attorney General. It was submitted to the Attorney General on the 17th of June, 2026. And in 2 weeks' time, it found its way to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And that was the report that the police went to court and get a preliminary unexplained your wealth order. I want to remind Trinidad and Tobago again, this is the same John Jeremy serving as an Attorney General in a previous government where the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago passed 3 motions in relation to his conduct as Attorney General, as interfering in the administration of justice, interfering in the affairs of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Those motions against John Jeremy were successfully passed. This is in the Lord Mustill Commission of Inquiry, where some of those matters were raised on the conduct of the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, John Jeremy, where some of these allegations were made that he was pursuing matters against public officials and interfering in the office of the Director of Public Prosecution and engaging in political prosecutions. When these matters were raised before a commission of inquiry in Trinidad and Tobago, the Mustill Commission of Inquiry, the Mustill report noted that despite the fact that those issues were raised in the Commission of Inquiry in the conduct of the same Attorney General who is now pursuing this matter on behalf of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the Attorney General never appeared before this Commission of Inquiry to clear his name on the very serious issues that arose relating to his conduct. So in response to Senator Anil Roberts, I want to let him know, and the UNC membership, and Trinidad and Tobago, that this matter is spearheaded by the Attorney General who commissioned this report and somehow got this report in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and the police officers utilizing this report and going before the courts to get an order. We do not plan to say much more on that, but to say for now that the PNM will defend itself against any politically motivated prosecutions. We will defend our party, we will defend our 70-year-old institution, and we will defend democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. And to let the members of the party rest assured that your party will defend our legacy and we will defend our institution, we will defend you, and we will defend democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Members of the media, we now open for your questions. Should you have any, just identify yourself and your question.
Excuse me. Daniel?
Well, I just have two questions. The first one is, could you give any kind of timeline with the Queen's Hall building? When was it approved and when was it rescinded?
My understanding, it was approved about a month ago, and about 2 weeks ago, the party received through the Office of the General Secretary notification that the venue is no longer available.
And the next question I had, how can, well, I'm not sure about the report, I didn't hear what Anna Roberts said, but how concerned is the PNM, concerning that you said there's a climate of retaliation and get back, about the well-being of their financiers and donors, that it could be disclosed publicly? How concerned is the PNM about it, and how could you protect that aspect of it from getting out publicly?
A lot of people, will make contributions to political parties in this country. And of course, a lot of those donors do not wish for their information or their business to be disclosed. So a lot of people will come through Balizi House. You'll be surprised to know. And they will make contributions. I, as chairman of the party, I had meetings here where members of the public would come in and they would make contributions to the party. And that has been like that for a very, very long time. And everyone who makes contribution to the People's National Movement or to any political party, they wish for their confidentiality to be preserved. And this is something that we ought to take into consideration. The disclosure of this kind of information, you have to ask yourself, why really is the government interested in the donors of the PNM? They are interested because their objective is to eradicate and eliminate the People's National Movement by going after our donors, by going after our well-wishers, by going after persons who from time to time would make contribution to assist the party as it go about its political activities. In this climate of revenge, in this climate of retribution, the UNC-led government or the Kamla Prasad-led administration has demonstrated that they would stop at absolutely nothing, not only to eradicate the PNM from the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, but to go after everyone and all of the citizens of this country, including business organizations, to go after them, to even eliminate them as well. And in addition to that, to frighten anyone who may dare contemplate making a financial contribution for the political activities of the People's National Movement. This is not only an attack on the PNM, it is an attack against the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago, an attempt by the UNC government to establish a one-party state in this country. That is how serious this matter is. To eliminate the PNM from the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago by scaring off political donors and persons and citizens who will make political contributions from time to time to fund political activities. And when they do so, they will eliminate the PNM from the landscape, the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, and establish a one-party state in this country. This is an attack on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago that should concern not only citizens of this country, but should concern every citizen of this world that believe in democracy.
But could the party do anything to kind of, safeguard some of the finances, especially the larger ones?
Well, the party...
Sure, yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and the listening public, members of the party, and members of our society, Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I actually want to start off with the chairman left off, we see this as a continuation of what this government started as soon as they came into office. You would recall that the first thing the UNC did was to say CPEP and URP is PNM and got rid of them. So it was CPEP, PNM people, PNM URP, PNM reforestation, now it's PNM WASA, PNM TSTT, and now they are coming for the members of the PNM who have contributed to this party over the last 70 years. That's the significance of what is happening here. Whereas, as the chairman pointed out, nobody is asking questions about SIS. Nobody is asking questions about the legal brief kickback case. Nobody is asking questions about PRCO, how much money was recovered after the PNM fought to recover billions of dollars on behalf of this country that was misappropriated by the UNC government. Nobody's asking about that. So I am waiting patiently to see when the TTPS is going to file a similar application for a preliminary unexplained wealth order against the UNC so that they too could come to court and tell us how it is over the last 20, 25, 30 years they have been able to spend hundreds or what appears to be hundreds of millions of dollars in this country during election time. And let me remind you, on the last general election campaign trail, the now Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, then opposition leader, spoke on our platform about the UNC booking media spots a year in advance of the election. And then we saw it once the election date was announced. Every day, every 5 minutes, they're on the radio, they're on every television station, they're on social media with paid ads, they're sending you texts on your phone, they're calling you. Where is that money coming from? And are we as a country comfortable with saying, well, the PNM has to answer all of these questions after we have said time and again, we come to the public and we come to our members and say, we have a fundraiser. The chairman just spoke about our September affair, which is on the 26th. The 26th of September 2026. That is not a new event. That is an event that has been happening for decades in the PNM. We have had car raffles year after year after year. In addition to which, this is a membership organization. Every member of the PNM pays a membership due annually. It is no rocket science as to where we raise funds. But to answer your question very directly, sir, the court has made an order. The PNM intends to comply with the law as it relates to that order, number one, and number two, to comply with the requirements of the Civil Asset Recovery and Management and Unexplained Wealth Act, which is an act that was introduced by the PNM government because we are interested in transparency. We are interested in those who are the beneficiaries of crime explaining illegitimate proceeds of crime. We are interested in going after real criminals who have amassed wealth to the tunes of millions of dollars that even after prosecution, the state has not been able to recover the cost of prosecution, first of all, and number two, those who have on the outskirts of the criminal have benefited from those millions of dollars that they have amassed, continue to live life like normal, even if the criminal is in fact prosecuted and put behind bars. That is the intention of that legislation that was passed when Faris Al-Rawi was the Attorney General. So we're not afraid of the law. We are here to comply with the law, but we want the population to see this for what it is. It is a political attack against the people of this country. People like you, sir, if you decide before you leave Bali's house this evening that you want to put $10 in our collection pan outside, I'm almost sure that you're not going to put a note on it saying what your name is. Because that's your personal business. When people donate to our church, they don't go and put an ad out in the papers and say, I donate to our church. If you give money to every political party in this country, I'm sure you don't want everybody knowing your business. And that's all we are saying. That if it is, the requirement is on the PNM to disclose our finances and the court finds reason for that order to be passed, no problem, we will comply. However, we are asking when is the TTPS going to file a similar application to so bind the UNC? The chairman spoke about what appears to be a lack of procurement in a number of areas under this government, and what appears to be some sort of alignment with those who are identified as UNC financiers and those now being involved in the award of contracts or doing work on behalf of the government. There's one family in particular, it's no secret, it is in the newspaper. Their trucks are on almost every construction site you see. All of a sudden, they've gone from being in construction to now selling cars, leasing vehicles to the police service, building police posts. There's nobody asking whether that particular family owns any companies that supported the UNC government or UNC campaign at any point in time, whether they're contributors, whether they're financiers. Those are the questions the people in this country need to ask. And on that police procurement issue, I mean, the attitude taken by Minister Amin to tell the chairman of the Tunapuna Piapo Regional Corporation, you're not in charge anymore, says it all. You are the minister of local government. And what you're telling that chairman is not that he's not in charge anymore. You know, you're telling the burgesses in Tunapuna Piapo that your chairman not in charge anymore. We in the government in charge. So we will take responsibility for what happens or does not happen in the Tunapuna Piapo Regional Corporation. So that I want the people, burgesses of Tunapuna Piapo, to remember that if the government underfunds that corporation as they have done, and the corporation can pick up your garbage, or can clean your drain, or can spray for mosquito, or can pay workers, I only hope Minister Amin will be so forthright as well when things not going so good. And on the police post issue, Chairman, if you would permit me, I mean, just a quick comment on that. I don't know that in the last 15 years, anybody has said in this country that the reason for crime is we don't have enough police stations. I don't know that. Why is it that the proposal for the joint population of that police post, meaning the Defense Force and the TTPS, why not take the Defense Force and put them in existing police stations to start with, to see how that will work first? Wouldn't that be a more practical approach? So you have Eddie Hart grounds sitting between the Tunapuna police station and the Aruka police station, which is on the bus route. Wouldn't it be useful if they're so interested in crime fighting by way of a joint approach? Well, put the Defense Force in the Aruka police station, put them in the Tunapuna police station and see how it works. Whether it works, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, whether the people feel safer or not. Why do you need to construct an entirely new police post, interestingly constructed as it appears by some of your financiers? You need to construct a police post without seeking the approval or even consent of the regional corporation for the purpose of putting the Defense Force together with the police service. I don't know how that makes any kind of practical sense. And you know, the thing is, the chairman was explicit in saying, we're not against the police post, you know. Anything to fight crime, we're in support of. But the way you're doing things sends a message not only of disrespect to the entire council of the Tunapuna Piaco Regional Corporation, and I imagine other corporations as well, but you're also sending a clear message to those who are bent on committing violations of the planning codes, of the town and country procedures, and of the local authority procedures for construction. You're sending a clear message that if you, the government, building, ironically, a police post without having any regard to the law, what does it leave for those who are unscrupulous in their developments? So, and you raise the point, the chairman raised the point about the Mustill inquiry and the law associations, motions of no confidence in the Attorney General, John Jeremy, when he was the Attorney General under the Patrick Manning administration. I want to remind the population that there are two things that arose out of that. Mr. Jeremy became qualified for two things as a result of those two issues. One, he became qualified to never serve in a PNM cabinet again. And two, he became qualified to be a UNC Attorney General. Those are the two things. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mark, I just ask you two questions. So the first one is, who exactly declined your approval for using Queen's Hall? Was it Michelle Benjamin?
I understand it is the management of Queen's Hall.
The management of Queen's Hall.
Yes.
Okay. And second question, what are your thoughts on the Energy Minister's statement that Golconda is going to be the place for an AI data center?
It is absolutely ridiculous. And it must concern every citizen of this country that the government, according to the Energy Minister, started clearing out lands for the construction of this AI data center. What approvals have the government achieved What public consultation have they engaged in? What kind of preliminary reports and undertakings have they conducted? Whether or not we have the necessary water supply, whether or not the environmental concerns, all of these matters that are very delicate, what have they done?
Consult the residents.
What kind of consultations with the residents and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, given the implications of the operation of these data centers? I'm telling you, the citizens of this country need to ask themselves whether Trinidad and Tobago is being used as a dumping ground for some of these commercial activities. Because as we speak, and as the government boasts about the establishment of data centers all over the United States of America, in China, in Europe, in England, there are a lot of issues relating to the operations of these data centers. Many states are passing laws to outlaw them, given their implications on lives and livelihood. But in Trinidad and Tobago, the government wakes up one morning to tell this country that it has a grand plan to establish data centers, not having the audacity, not having the decency to communicate with the residents and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago on the issues surrounding the construction of data centers and how they can negatively impact our lives and our livelihood. I think the Minister of Energy's statement is irresponsible. It is a breach of his oath of office. He needs to understand that when he was appointed as a minister of government and as a member of parliament, he took an oath of office to comply by the Constitution and by the law. And his conduct yesterday and the statement that he made yesterday is a clear violation that both the Minister of Energy and the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the officials of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, they do not wish to comply with their oath of office. They do not wish to comply with the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. And the PNM will be taking a very tough stance, and we will ensure that if Rudal Munilal does not represent his constituents, then his constituents who are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago will be defended by the People's National Movement. We will do so. Not only his constituents, but all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago will be defended. I also want to let you all know, just to segue from my colleague Sanjeev, with respect to these police posts that they are constructing, basically creating an opportunity, commercial opportunities, contractual opportunities for some of their financiers. I want to ask the Minister of Homeland Security, where is the Commissioner of Police? Is the Commissioner of Police in the jurisdiction? When did the Commissioner of Police leave the jurisdiction? And who was appointed an acting Commissioner of Police if the Commissioner of Police left this jurisdiction? I have received information, and therefore I'm asking the question. I have received information that the Commissioner of Police has left the jurisdiction and that the Police Service Commission has not done what it's supposed to do to appoint an acting Commissioner of Police to discharge the duties of Commissioner of Police during the absence of the substantive Commissioner of Police. And the question that the opposition is asking at Balize House today in Port of Spain, has the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago left the jurisdiction? And whether the Police Service Commission has made attempts and efforts to appoint an acting Commissioner of Police during the absence of the substantive office holder. And if that is not the case, then the Minister of Homeland Security and the Prime Minister as chair of the National Security Council have a lot of questions to answer. We are asking this very serious question here this afternoon. And finally, we made the point that this order against Balize House must be seen for what it is. It is an attack against the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago and to establish a one-party state in this country. If you look at how the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago is conducted, questions are denied. The Prime Minister is not asked and not called upon to answer supplemental questions. Urgent questions that have been filed are not being allowed. The Prime Minister has not appeared before a post-cabinet press conference for over a year because she is not prepared to subject herself for questioning by members of the media. These things, ladies and gentlemen, are not in isolation. Cumulatively, they are an attack against our freedoms and our democratic traditions. The latest being an attack against the oldest political party in Trinidad and Tobago to set up a one-party state so that the UNC can govern this country without any one of us, be it you members of the media or us in the opposition, from asking them any question. And that's the reason why you could get up one morning and you will hear opening of a steel mill, the establishment of AI data centers, and all these types of statements without accountability and without transparency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We remind members of the People's National Movement and members of the general public, we stand here in defense of democracy. And as a 70-year-old party, we remain venerable, honorable, and respectable, and here for the people of Trinidad and Tobago and for our members. We thank you for your time this afternoon, members of the media, our listening and viewing audience. And from Balize House today, we say, great is the PNM, great is Trinidad and Tobago, and there's nothing that the United National Congress can do that can change that. Thank you.
Power, feel the power, power. DJ,
touch it, bring it, baby. Touch it, bring it, baby.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. Yeah. Somebody pray to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul. Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul.
Who, me?
While I was praying, pray to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul. Life too sweet, I can't complain. The only constant is the change, and we go touch the road again. So as long as you call my name, then I will answer. I'm a happy camper, and love is my sponsor. I'm man of life, then I will dance up. But I feel no anger, I'm smiling with me hands up, yeah. Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. Yeah. Somebody pray to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul. Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. While I was praying, pray to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul.